Hey, it's KB, and I love movies. On today's conversation, we have Sue from Movies and Sue. We had a great time talking about varied amount of things, and if you don't follow her, I encourage you to do so. Her links will be in the description below. So, without further ado, here's our conversation. Hello, everyone. Today, I am joined by the magnificent Blu-ray collector. She is the queen of all things physical media and physical media content, the former Blu-ray queen. I have Sue from Movies and Sue. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am so happy to finally have you on to have a conversation with you. I've been a big fan following your YouTube channel and also on Instagram now, probably since, oh my gosh, I would say at least over the last year plus.
Oh, wow. Thank
That's for
you.
sure. So, like I told you the other night when we were in the round table, you're one of the people that are responsible for me wanting to start my own YouTube channel. So once again, I want to thank you. It means a lot.
Oh, that means so much. Thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that. And
Hmm.
I'm happy to be here to have a conversation with you.
Good. Since this is a conversation, it's not really an interview, so we try to keep
Yeah.
it more conversational, go back and forth. I do have a list of questions, but they're launching off points, so we'll just go from there.
Okay.
So I always like to start with a non-movie question. So
Okay.
looking at some of your earlier videos, I noticed that you used to be into Funko Pops. When did you stop collecting them, and do you miss it?
When did I stop collecting them?
Mm-hmm.
I stopped collecting them when I realized that buying movies and buying Funko Pops at the same time was plummeting me into debt. So,
Yeah.
so I was like, you know what, Susan, you got to make a choice. So
Mm-hmm.
obviously the movies won and the Funko Pops just went on hold. I mean, I buy one every now and again,
Yeah.
you know, like I picked up some of the like the Batman Returns pops. I'm looking at them right now.
Yeah.
I bought some of the Batman Returns pops in the
Mm-hmm.
nice plastic cases when they were available at Target. I knew I wanted to get those, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm just not like seeking them out
Yeah.
anymore.
So you just stick to like the superhero stuff now.
Yeah, like if I see anything DC or Marvel that I
Mm-hmm.
want, then I'll like go towards it. But like every day, it's just too much.
Yeah.
It's just
I
too much.
I have a couple of them and they were all gifts and they're cute and they're fun. I've kept them in the box. I know some people put them out and display them and all that. I'm
Oh
like,
no, they stay in their boxes.
yeah, I
They're
like
all
the
in their
way they look
boxes.
in the boxes. So, I
Yeah.
never took them out. Of course, now that I'm starting to put like my movies on shelves, I'm like, these will be like nice bookends. Can't find them.
Yeah,
They're
of
somewhere in
course.
this house. Lord knows where. So,
They're hiding somewhere. Who
yeah,
knows?
you know, toys can have a life of their own. So, congratulations on reaching 7,000 subscribers, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's a
Reaching those
major.
milestones every time I
Mm-hmm.
can.
But that speaks a lot to it's one thing to get subscribers, and I'm quickly learning that it's more to keep them and keep them following and keeping
Yes,
those views
absolutely.
up and everything.
And you're over 100. You broke like the first, like you broke the hardest. That's the hardest point is
Yeah,
getting
it
your
is.
first 100.
Yeah,
Once you break that 100, it like okay, we're good, we're smooth sailing to
hmm
the next level of 1,000. But
yeah.
breaking that, it took me a long time to
Mm.
break that 100.
Would you say it was like about a year or more than a year?
I would say it was my first year on YouTube. It took me a year to break
Yeah,
100 because when I first started my channel, I wasn't Blu-ray physical media focused.
yeah.
I was Susan's reviews. I was under a completely different name, and I
hmm
was doing movie reviews about movies that I would go and see in the theater. And I'd come back home and sit on the floor of my bedroom. I had no idea what I was doing whatsoever,
hmm
but I just knew I wanted to like do something and I wanted to
Yeah.
start something. I wanted to create a channel. And
And
that's what I would do.
so you mentioned those early days. Take us back. What inspired you to like start the channel in the first place?
Inspiration for starting the channel was
Mm-hmm.
I've said this a couple times on my channel, but for anyone that does not know, I was going through a breakup at the time.
Hmm.
I had broken up with my boyfriend at the time and it was like done, final. And I knew I wanted to be creative and I knew I wanted like an outlet to like kind of occupy my mind and my
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
that way I wasn't like overly thinking about it. And I don't know why I chose YouTube, but I just did. I had no idea what I was doing at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I was like doing research on YouTube about how to start YouTube, and pretty much everyone was just said start a channel, just start
Yeah.
doing it. So that's what I did,
Yeah.
and I just started like progressively getting better, with technique a little bit here and there. I mean, I have like no editing skills at all whatsoever. It's like basic of the basic, but it's what works for me,
Yeah.
you know?
And you've grown since then. I mean, not only in
Yeah.
your skills, I was watching an early Blu-ray hunt the other day of yours, and you sound like you were undercover in the back room trying to
Oh, like
find Blu-rays.
one of the early ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's frightening when you first go out there
Hmm.
and you're thinking, I look like a weirdo. I have my phone out. I'm talking to myself. Now
Hmm.
I walk into Best Buy and they know what I'm doing. Like it's not a big deal at all whatsoever. I'm
Yeah.
there. I'm on the floor taking a thumbnail picture with the movies, and I'm like this with my movies, like going like this. And sometimes I get a little like, is anyone looking at me? But
Hmm.
the majority of the time, I don't care.
I passed that point. I'm just like, I don't care who's looking at me. Just realize
Yeah,
I'm not stealing anything. The other day,
exactly.
um, at Barnes and Noble, of course, Criterion sale, I gave the movies to the young lady. I was like, "Can you just hold these for me? I'm gonna go back and record something." She's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead." And I was like, "That
Yeah,
was easy."
yeah,
They
that was
don't
easy. They
care.
didn't look at me weird. Okay.
Yeah, life goes on.
Yep,
And I
exactly.
realized most people are looking at themselves much more
Hmm.
than looking at you. So
Right.
your collection has grown since the beginning by
Oh, yes.
multitudes. How,
Leaps and bounds.
how many would you say you have now? You just did all that
Ooh,
shelf rearranging. You should have an idea at least.
I know. I've been reorganizing. I have my physical media closet now. So,
Hmm.
but I love what I did in there. It is like so organized. I know where all I reorganized it again. So I'm going to do
Mm,
an updated video because as a collector, you're always shifting things around. I already shifted
true,
my closet around
true.
because I wanted to utilize something. I was like, I'm going to move the Marvel Steel books in there and the Criterions are going over there now. And so it's
Hmm.
all shifted around. Um, but yeah, an estimate maybe 2K, close to that, maybe like 17, something like that.
I think you're
Something.
being humble. I think it's more than that.
I, I don't think so.
No?
No,
Hmm.
because I always do a multiple collection videos in
Hmm.
January.
A major part of your collection is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, being a Marvel,
Oh, my MCU, yes.
yes, being a Marvel girl, do you have favorites like top five or whatever?
Well, I have two Marvels in my top five of all time,
Hmm.
but we'll get to that later because I know that's one of the questions at the very end. Because I thought about my questions and I have my answers.
Good.
Um, Pretty much my favorite Marvels are like the Russo brother films.
Hmm.
The way the Russo brothers directed those movies were fantastic. And that is why I want them to come back so badly, but it's
Yeah.
probably not going to happen for some reason. But I would love if Kevin Feige and the brothers could just like iron out whatever needs to get ironed out and they would come back.
Yeah,
because they just know how to direct a Marvel movie so well, unlike anyone else,
it's true.
especially those epic Avengers movies. You know,
Yeah,
the bookends of Infinity War and Endgame is phenomenal.
yeah.
You know, although I am excited with the director of Shang-Chi directing the next Avengers film, I'm on board with that
Me too.
because he did a really great job. That bus scene is iconic. Like that's such an
So good.
amazing fight sequence.
Yeah.
So that's fine with me. I'm
I
good with
was
that.
surprised at how much I enjoyed Shang-Chi because, I mean, Phase 4 has been underwhelming to say the least. And when that came out, I was like, this is really good. I really
Really
enjoyed
good.
that movie.
Really
I
good. I
really
mean,
did.
I famously call phase four the experimental phase
Mm-hmm.
because
It's a good name.
a lot of people were complaining, you know, Marvel is cookie cutter, MCU, it's the same movie spit out again and again and again in different ways. So they experimented
Yeah.
in phase four. They did what people wanted pretty much. You know, there
Mm-hmm.
was a bunch of different things that happened. You closed out Black Widow, you know, her story, put that to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it was a little too late, her story, but we got it anyway. You
Yep.
know, No Way Home was fan service because we wanted that link of all those universes coming together.
Mm-hmm.
We're introducing new people in Shang-Chi and Eternals. So those are brand new characters coming in. You have
Yep.
the horror aspect with Doctor Strange too. And then you have the bubblegum pop with Thor Love and Thunder. You know, it's like all over the place,
Yeah.
all different, all for all different tastes. And some hit and some didn't,
Right.
you
And
know?
then you add the Disney Plus shows in, and
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know.
you add that in, it's just
Yeah.
like an overload.
Yeah, and I think that's what's happening with a lot of people. They're suffering from what they would call superhero fatigue. Like, what do you think
Yeah.
about that? And are you experiencing any fatigue yourself?
I mean, with the Disney Plus shows, it's a
Hmm.
lot. I
Yeah,
have to admit, it's a lot. And I think like it's with the best of intentions. Like Kevin Feige has the best, he knows how much as fans we love we love these movies and we wanted more from it. So
yeah.
they you know supplemented with Disney Plus. Let's throw a bunch of shows at like I loved WandaVision.
Favorite,
Loved it.
favorite
Loved
still.
it. I enjoyed Hawkeye. I thought Hawkeye was decent, you know,
Me too.
introducing Kate Bishop in. You
Hmm.
know, I enjoyed that one. I wasn't the biggest fan of Loki and
Me too.
I stopped watching I apparently right before it
It
gets
got
important.
interesting. Yeah.
I stopped watching around episode 4 and someone said, "Well, that's when you need to start watching it." I'm like, "Oh, great." So now I pretty much have to watch it all over again because I
Hmm.
know that's when Kang is introduced right at the very end of that and I
Yep.
totally missed that. So I need to get on it.
But the funny thing about the Kang episodes, it's kind of like you were mentioning Brando before. It's like watching Brando in Apocalypse Now and trying to understand what he was talking about. The first time you're like, "What? What are you
Yeah.
talking about, dude?" But then a couple of times you watch it and you're like, "Oh, okay, that's where it's coming from." So even if you saw it before, you'll probably want to go back and see it again, especially before those movies come around. And
Well,
I don't
considering they're
know.
not coming out until 2025, I got plenty of
You got some
time.
time. You got some
I
time.
got some time, you know, I
Yeah.
got some time. But yeah, it's, you know, it's a lot, but it's like I said, it's with the best of intentions because Kevin
Hmm.
Feige knows that we love this world, but it's just so much. And also the pandemic had an effect on that as well because
It's true.
everything got pushed back and everything got crammed in at the same time into this year, you
Hmm.
know, so it feels like a lot more
Yeah.
because everything was
Saturated.
smushed in and saturated exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, I know he revealed like the next phase and are, you know, the plans and everything, but it still seems a little bit like it's a lot,
It
to be
is.
honest, especially on Disney Plus.
Yeah. I
A lot of
I don't
stuff.
know. Being like when I was coming up, being a comic book fan, I realized that there were always like other stories or like side stories that would
Hmm.
give me more of a clue into what was happening in the main storyline, aka the movies.
Yeah.
And it wasn't always necessary, but I knew
Hmm.
if I read those side stories, I would just get a little bit more. And I think that's kind of like the strategy. It's like I didn't need to watch WandaVision to go watch Doctor Strange. Um, let's switch off of Marvel for a while because we're fans, so we could just
We could talk about it all
yeah,
day.
we could
I
wax
could do
poetic
this
about
all
it all
day.
day. Yeah.
Cap. Okay. Let's move on. Please edit that
I'm
out.
no, I'm gonna put in like him saying that right there. We share a favorite movie in Goodfellas. I'm a big Uncle Marty fan, so I'm
Mhm.
almost on borderline being a apologist for him. So, what is it? I know what it is for me, but what is it about that classic movie that you love?
I just I just love it because it's so many things. It's
Hmm.
so many elements that I enjoy in one movie
Hmm.
because it's directed by Scorsese. I love Scorsese films. It's a
Same,
mob movie. I love mob movies.
same,
It's Italian culture, and I'm all about the Italian culture, Italian
same,
household. So
same.
I'm all about the Italian culture.
Hmm.
Um, because honestly, like I not I didn't grow up around it necessarily per se, but like I heard stories about people that were in the mob, and it just always fascinated me, like that
Hmm.
lifestyle of how those
Yeah,
people lived. And I just think Goodfellas is the ultimate mob movie to me.
yeah,
And that's why it's my number one favorite.
yeah. It's like a culmination of all those things, and
And it's a biopic. And I
yeah,
love biopics.
yeah.
So
And the way Scorsese prepares for his movies is he always has what they call temp tracks, and he's one of the few directors that will put his temp tracks into actually being the soundtrack in the movie. So like
mhm.
the scene in the truck where they played the end of Layla, that was his temp track, and that became a part of the movie. And it just all fits so well together. And
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard for me to kind of encourage people to be on the level of how much I might like a movie.
Yeah.
But, for me, it was, I always say it's the movie that made me go from just being a casual movie watcher to being someone who studies stuff like, wait a minute, they walked from outside into the copa all the way to the table and sat without breaking away, you know,
Yeah. I
understanding what a
love
long
that.
take is.
Yeah.
I may have seen it before, but at that point it was like,
You noticed
wow,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that just made me get
The
into
way it
like,
was done, the music
yeah,
choice of what was
yeah.
playing. Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
just made me get
That's one
into
of my favorite moments in
everything.
the movie.
Me
Yeah.
too. Me
Hmm.
too. Just for that reason, because it was, people like, what is the moment you fell in love with film? That's my moment for me.
That's the moment.
That's the moment. I could have
Hmm.
watched 100 movies before that, hundreds of movies before that. But at that
Yeah.
moment, I could tell you where I was, what I was doing,
It all clicked.
like that. Like
Yep.
that.
What's
Yep.
up, guys? It is Tuesday, our favorite day of the week, because that means we get to go out there and go Blu-ray hunting. But today is special because I am not alone. For the first time in an extremely long time, we have Mama Blu-ray.
We got Mama Blu-ray saying, been waiting all day for this.
We're going into Target. We're going into Target.
So
Okay.
I love the way everyone loves Mama Blu-ray.
So do I.
I love it. I love it when we're in a live stream and she pops up and it doesn't matter what everyone's talking about. She instantly becomes, hey, Mama
She's
Blu-ray, how you
she's
feeling,
like
Mama?
the center of attention. She becomes
Yeah.
the focus, and I'm like shoved off to the background, like no one cares about
Hey,
me. It's all
it's
about
all
Mama
love.
Blu-ray.
It's all
It
love.
is.
When
It
did
is.
she like start popping up in like your videos and in live streams, even like getting an account of her own?
Well, I made her account, and I created the name Mama Blu-ray because she
Hmm.
because when she first started popping up in live chats, it would just say her name. I'm like, Ma, you can't have just your name. It sounds corny. I'm like, well, I'm gonna call you Mama Blu-ray.
I
So I
love it.
changed it. and I took her little picture and everything. She's like, "How'd you do that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just
Magic,
figured it out."
magic.
Magic. It's
It's
the
all.
magic of technology. So,
Hmm. But I
so
truly love it. I love how she is in the live streams and how she encourages you. I think that's
yes,
very important.
she
And
is
and
so
Daddy
extremely
Blu-ray too.
supportive.
Um, you have a lot of segments on your channel, so like things like
Yes.
discount Blu-rays, never seen it,
Yep.
weekend watch. Do you have a
Yep.
favorite to record?
Ooh, you know, I like doing them all. I like doing
Mm-hmm.
them all. I guess never seen it, which coincidentally I'm recording right after this conversation with you. That's the video for today. Um, but I like doing never seen it because I never practice what I'm going to say. Like literally what comes out of my mouth on camera is what is filmed and that's it. Like you said, one take Sally,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. If I flub it up, if it's really really bad, the flubbing, I'll stop and I'll,
Yeah.
go back and I'll re-record everything. But I usually just take a look at my movie stack next to me. What do I have?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, press the record and I just start going. And I don't even know what's going to pop out of my mouth.
I love it.
I
I
never
love the
know.
spontaneity of it.
Yeah.
You saw me do that before when you throw it over your shoulder. I
Oh,
think
the
that's so
yeah.
much fun.
Yes, the worst of the batch.
Hmm. And it's also a way for you to maintain that original channel vibe of doing reviews. I mean, they may not
Yeah,
be full-blown reviews, but it's a review
right.
of a movie you've never seen before. So it's a little old school Sue in there. I like that.
Right. I just don't feel like I'm good at doing movie reviews. Like Ken is like, Ken mid-level media, he's great at doing it. There's like so many other YouTubers that are great at doing reviews. I don't think that's my strength per se, but that's how I get it in with Never Seen It series, with doing reviews on those, just a little spitfire take on what these movies are, then chuck them if I don't like them.
Hmm.
But I actually I'm bringing back new release review. It was a segment that I was doing like what, a month or two ago, where I
Yeah.
was talking about the new releases, but instead of just one, I decided I'll talk about three or four. So that
Hmm.
way I'm not focused on just one and I don't have the pressure of filling up like 10 minutes talking about one movie,
Right.
whereas I can fill up 10 minutes talking about four movies.
Hmm. I
So
like
that's
that.
what I'm going to try doing that. It's always experimentation.
You heard it here first,
Always.
people. You heard it here
Yes,
first.
that's an exclusive.
Talking about things that people love, the walking songs when you're walking into Target or
Oh, the
Walmart or
targets.
whatever. Yes.
Yeah.
How did that start? And do you still enjoy doing it? Or is it kind of like this is what the people want to hear?
Do I enjoy singing the song?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, why not? It's just a little ditty. It doesn't take any more than
Yeah.
2 seconds. Yeah.
It's like
Going
a
into
little,
Target. We're going into Target.
it's kind of like a sense of joy. Like I'm going to
Yeah.
find some movies, and
I
it's like,
should probably change it though, because Target's like it's disappointing every single week now. But I mean, honestly, one day I just sang it.
mm-hmm.
Again, spontaneity. It was not planned. I was happy that day. I figured I was going to find something great and
Mm-hmm.
it just popped out of my mouth and the comments underneath that video when I sang that were like, "I love someone named it the Target song." And I was like, "Wow, I got to keep doing this. I
That's
can't
funny.
stop doing it."
So I went back as far as I could. I
Okay.
actually
Uh-oh.
saw Mama Blu-ray singing with you, I think, going into Target or something.
Okay. Yeah.
But I would say about 2 years ago, there was a certain genre that you weren't really into, and that's horror. And
Ah, yes.
like, who or what do you credit for the change? Because now you're getting like slasher movies and Vinegar Syndrome the other day at
I
what was
know.
that place, Apocalypse or whatever? What was the
I
place
got
you went to?
something about a hitcher, like hitch, I don't know, hitch or something. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this looks good. Yeah, I'm all about the slasher movies.
Hmm.
That's my favorite subgenre of horror. But if I ever did watch horror movies in the past, like
Hmm.
slashers were what I always went for.
Yeah.
I'm still not big into like ghost movies or like paranormal activity or anything like that. Those movies kind of freak me out still a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm like, give me a good old Hank and killer, give me a serial killer, give me Ghostface, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Jason.
But
Sure.
that has grown over the last couple of years, right?
Especially the last year. Yeah.
Yeah. The horror community that keeps physical media alive.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you know, the studio titles is one thing, but it's all these boutique labels and all of these obscure horror titles that they come up with that, really keeps collectors collecting and so forth. So I don't know, is it kind of inevitable?
What, to become a fan of
Yeah.
that genre? I think it was just one day I was just like, you know what? Just open up your mind to it, Susan. Just watch it. Just
Yeah.
watch it. You know, it's like because I did watch slasher movies, it was like, okay, baby steps was something that you really like,
Hmm.
like you enjoy Scream, like I went and saw the original Scream in the theater back in 96 when it came out. I didn't
Yeah.
want to. I was dragged by my friends,
Oh, those friends.
but I did end up enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I knew that kind of movie, okay, I was into that kind of horror movie.
Hmm.
So watching like the slashers like Michael and Jason, things like that, okay, I like this.
Who's
And
your
it kind of like
favorite?
opens up your mind to other subgenres of horror.
Who's your favorite of the biggies, as they would say?
It's a tie between Michael and Ghostface, but not just any Ghostface. It's Billy and Stu Ghostface. Okay,
The original.
they are number one.
Hmm.
Let's just clarify that. Yes, that's a
Yeah.
tie.
I'm a Freddy fan. I was actually watching the second one, Freddy's Revenge, yesterday because I wanted to watch that Scream Queen documentary. So I figure I
Okay,
should
yep.
watch the movie and then watch the doc. And yeah, interesting movie. I'll say that.
See, I think I'm gonna make it a goal for me to do to watch all the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise because I haven't.
Hmm.
I haven't. I've only seen the original and the crappy remake, and that's it. I
It's
haven't seen
like a
and
slasher month coming up.
I haven't seen any of the other ones. So
You should do a slasher theme. That'll be cool. I love the videos that you put out around award season. There's not a
okay,
lot
yep.
of people who are like still into it and fanatical about it like you are,
Hmm.
like I am. So when I see someone else who really gets into it, it
Yeah.
seems like more and more people could care less about that because they feel like their type of movie is not the ones being nominated. But we still get pumped up for those ceremonies and all that. What do you think about like
Yeah.
the overall thing?
I mean, I enjoy doing them. I enjoy doing the videos. Like I've always enjoyed award season, even when I was
Hmm.
little.
Me too.
When I had no idea, like, oh, is this a good movie or not? Like I just always loved it. And I
Hmm.
love the entire experience of like the red carpet. Like we make it a whole thing here at the house. Like the night of the
Hmm.
Oscars, like we're ready. We're like sitting there at 6 o'clock with the snacks and we're watching Nicole Kidman come down the red carpet and Mama
Hmm.
Blu-ray is like her dress is awful. Like we're commenting about that. We're commenting about everything. And then watching the show is just like entertain. It's fun. It's
It
like
is.
we always like we guess like who's gonna win. And my dad, for some reason, like wins a lot. I don't know because like he doesn't know any of them.
Hmm.
Daddy Blu-ray wins sometimes, which is shocking.
Healthy guesses.
Yeah, he just guesses.
Yeah. My mom
Yeah.
used to be a seamstress. She still does clothes and stuff. So she always wanted to see like the red carpet stuff. And when we were little,
Yeah.
they didn't have as much coverage as they do now, with E
Yeah.
and
Now
ABC
it's
and
like
all that stuff.
the focus of the world. Yeah.
Hmm.
Because
But
every designer wants them to wear their dress.
yeah, so she would
Yeah.
always be commenting on things and
Yeah.
all of a sudden I was picking up on little things that she was saying. So now I'm looking at it and critiquing it too. I'm like, oh my gosh, I sound
Yeah.
like my mother.
Yeah. I'm turning into my mother.
Uh-huh. But I love
Exactly.
that. And I love that as the just talking about the Academy in particular, as the Academy starts to skew younger and more modern with their members, that we're starting to see an
Hmm.
introduction of more movies that would be, I don't know, more in the popular realm than just like
Yes.
the 3 hour epic movies that no one's heard of unless you're within that world. Like, I didn't know, what was that one, Kiss of the Spider Woman or whatever. When I was a kid, I was like, what is that about?
Oh,
Spider
I've
Woman?
never
Is it
even heard
like
of it.
Spider-Man? Yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember we had a field trip to see Gandhi, and that was the only movie I knew that year. So I was like, I know that one. And I
Yeah.
wanted
That
Gandhi
one's
to
gonna
win.
win
Yeah, I wanted Gandhi to win everything that year because that was the only movie
because
that
you
I
knew what it
knew.
was. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
But now it's kind of like, by the time Oscars come around, all, most times I've seen all. If anything, I might miss one, and it's usually like a foreign film. But
Yeah. This past year, it was difficult because Mama Blu-ray was having a lot of medical issues.
yeah.
She had the open heart surgery, she fell, broke her hip in like three different places. So
Mm,
I was like sidelined a little bit from seeing, no complaints. I would take care of her any day of the
of
week.
course.
I don't care about movies that much.
Right.
But because of that, I was sidelined and I didn't get to see all of the movies that were nominated and won in last year's
Mm,
ceremony. I saw a lot though. I did see a
yeah.
lot, but not as much as I would have liked to. Like the year before, I think I saw every single one. I was constantly at the theater going to see because if it would might be there for a weekend and that was it and it'd be gone. So I'd have to go and see it.
Yeah.
But I hopefully this year I'll get back on track and go and see a little bit more. But like you said, with the introduction of the new members, I was thrilled when Jason Blum is now in there because he is horror. And that's
Hmm.
what we need. We need different genres being recognized, not just epic drama tales.
Yeah.
Like horror needs to get recognized, more sci-fi, obviously comic book movies, if they're up to that standard, they should be recognized
I agree.
because all movies are movies. It doesn't matter,
Hmm.
you know.
So true. So yeah, hopefully we'll see more of a turn toward that, and people might start caring about it more.
Hopefully. Cross
Hopefully.
fingers.
Yes, indeed. So I have one more question. It's not even a question, it's more of a statement before we get to the five take.
Okay.
And that is, I was happy to see you address the negative comments that you got recently. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. I hate that people have this mind hive mentality that we all must agree on a
Yep.
certain take or a
Hmm.
certain perspective. And, it's like we're some monolithic think hive, and it's not. We're talking about, if you really boil it down, whether it's, a schlotsy horror movie or if it's some big budget production, we're talking about art. And all
Right.
art is, subjective. We all have our own opinions.
Yeah, I really got it bad in that video. I hate these movies with, I mean, come on, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is an embarrassment. Like Steven Spielberg, I didn't even realize he directed that movie. I thought
Hmm.
it was somebody else
Yeah,
because
it doesn't fit it.
after watching it, and I gave it a second chance. I watched it a second time.
Yeah,
I always watch these movies two times before I do an I hate this movie video on anything that I do, because I do want to give it the benefit of the doubt. So I do watch it a second time, and upon a second viewing, I said, "This is embarrassing." Steven Spielberg actually sat down and oversaw that and was like, "This is good, and I'm going to put this out in theaters." It's horrible. And like I mentioned in the video, it doesn't fit in. It doesn't fit in with the rest of the franchise. It's too goofy. It's
Hmm.
too comedic. And like I said, it's like a parody of Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And I think honestly, that's the best review that you could say about it is that it doesn't fit in. If you
Yeah, it just
have other movies in a series or, in this case, a franchise, you expect a certain rhythm to each movie. And when something is like so left of center, you're like, this doesn't match up to the
yeah.
other ones.
Because I mean, we grew up with Indian. How old are you? Are you around my
Yeah,
age?
yeah,
Okay, you'll just say that. We're
yeah.
around the same age. We grew up with
I'm
this
older than you.
franchise. Okay. We grew up with this franchise. You
Yeah.
know, like I was little. I remember I was little and I never watched Raiders, but Temple of Doom was my first Indiana Jones experience and I loved it. I love Temple of Doom. It's still my favorite indie movie.
Hmm.
And I remember after watching that, I would go in the backyard and I would pretend I was Indiana Jones and I would have my little adventures back there and I would
Hmm.
be creative with my toys and everything. And Crystal Skull, it's like I have no desire to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm older now for the first time seeing it, but it's like I just didn't like it. It just didn't sit well with me.
Yeah. It didn't spark that desire of adventure or,
No.
how the other ones, even the third one, with Sean Connery,
Hmm.
had that feeling of adventure, but you didn't really feel that with that last one. I watched them all in one day when I got the box set, and it
Uh-huh.
was like when I got to that one, I was like, I guess.
You're like, I don't really want to watch this. Well, I'm not picking up the new Steelbook when it comes out. I
Yeah,
refuse
yeah.
because I will not have, I already have two copies of it because someone gifted me like a nice Blu-ray set of it.
Hmm.
So I'm good. I have two copies of Crystal Skull. I don't
Yeah.
need a third. The
And
other ones I will, but not that one.
so you think it was mostly from that movie because there were other movies that you were reviewing in that video, right?
Yeah, no, all three of them pretty much, people criticize me saying, "How can you judge a movie if you're falling asleep? How can you not judge a movie if you're falling asleep?
If it's putting you to sleep.
If it's putting me to sleep." Now, granted, yes, I do fall asleep during movies.
Hmm.
Yes, I do. That's a common thing because I am up early, I'm out, I am filming, I come home, I'm like constantly moving. So
Right.
by the time I settle in at night, I try to get in. My goal is to get in actually three movies a night. I really try to
Hmm.
do for three, but usually I do watch two movies a night, whatever my theme is, and then I try to do a never seen it movie, and then a different movie. But when I put in the humans, I was so bored.
I did not see that yet.
It is one of the most tiresome. It's like, why is it so difficult to understand this movie? Like I want to enjoy it. I feel
Yeah.
like I should be enjoying it, but I'm just not. And like halfway through, I give myself credit because I got halfway through. And halfway through, my mind just gave up and went to sleep and I couldn't finish it. And the fact I don't want to finish it.
Yeah. But you handled that very well. I'll say that much.
To be honest, the majority of the time, I delete the comments. Like if anything is too hateful, I don't even
Yeah.
respond to it because it's not worth it. Because people are just, trolling and hating behind their computers, behind their
Hmm.
screens. They're
Yep.
brave behind their screens.
That's how you got to see it. It's true.
Exactly.
All right. You ready to do 5 takes?
Yes.
All right,
Let's do it.
let's go. Number one, name the
Yes.
movie that made you fall in love with the movies.
I'm not going to name just one movie.
Of course not.
I'm going to, I'm going to name the 80s because that was my era. So we're talking like John Hughes movies like Breakfast Club, 16
Hmm.
Candles, Pretty in Pink, but I'm also going to throw in Back to the Future.
Nice.
Like
Nice.
that time period, those
Hmm.
movies made me fall in love with movies.
Love it. So name 5 of them. 5 of your favorites.
Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Back to the Future, and Ferris Bueller.
Well done. Well done. Name a classic movie that everyone loves, but you can't stand.
Okay, it's not that I can't stand it, but I don't
Hmm.
understand. I think it's overrated. I don't understand why everyone loves it, and it's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Hmm.
Because I bought it, I think 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and I put it in to watch it, and I finished it, and I completed it, and I'm just like, why is everyone just so crazy about this movie?
My daughter loves that movie. I think
I
I've
don't get,
watched it once or twice, and I'm like,
I
I
don't
think
get
it's
the
the height of
obsession.
Tim Burton too.
I don't get the obsession. Like people get tattoos and everything. I'm like, okay, do you, but I won't. I'm not gonna get a tattoo.
All right, and the next one may have something to do with your most recent video. Let's flip it. Name a critically hated movie that you love.
Okay, I've thought about this one.
Hmm.
I'm kind of switching it up just a little, like the phrasing of the question, because
Go
I know
for it.
a lot of people dog this movie, but I enjoy it. And it is critically acclaimed by like critics and everything, like other, people enjoy it. But
Hmm.
The Lighthouse, I don't mind The Lighthouse
I like it. I
because see, you and I can hang out all day, like we have everything in common. But like there's other people like they hate it, they don't get
mm,
it, they don't understand it. But I've watched every single movie that Robert Eggers has done, and I like all three,
yeah.
especially The Northman. I One of my favorites of this year.
Same
Really
here.
good.
Finally, who would you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
Well, I would be betraying my Steelbook crew if it did not say Dave Durant Cinema. You
Thank
got to
you.
get Durant Cinema on here.
Can I tell you something? I
Yes.
have a page and a half of chats sent to him on Instagram trying to get him to do one of these. I've
Uh-huh.
had Vengeance Media reach out to him to get him to do one of these. So
Hmm.
now I turn to you, my friend Sue, to
Okay.
say, hey, help me get Dave on here because I think it will be so much fun. It could be a half hour long. I'll be happy and laughing the whole time because
I will definitely shoot him a message.
thank you. I
No
appreciate
problem.
you.
Absolutely. I
And
appreciate you.
I appreciate this time. I thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you for
It's
having me on.
you don't realize I have like a top five of people that I wanted to do this with, and you're on there.
Oh, that means
So
so much to me. Thank you.
don't cry, don't cry.
I'm
You
gonna
bring
cry.
you bring out the doofus in a man when you start crying. Don't do that.
I'm good. I'm not crying. We're good.
Okay, okay, good, good.
No, that
But
really means a lot. Thank you. I do
yes,
appreciate.
like I said, been a fan for a long time. So keep doing you. I'll keep watching and tell people where they could find you.
You can find me on YouTube, here on YouTube, Movies and Sue. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram, same thing at Movies and Sue. I also am on Letterboxd, Susan's Reviews, my old YouTube name.
Good. And she's worth the follow, folks. So if you're not currently doing that on any of those platforms, please reach out and sub up and follow Susan. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me on.